come in on a Sunday night again, and we're excited to obviously announce that we accepted an invitation to the Belk Bowl in Charlotte. Had a chance to visit with the executive director, Danny Morrison, this afternoon, and Danny's, he and I have talked on a couple of occasions, and he's been in a couple of our games, and so we're excited to spend some time with him. He's a good man that's really worked hard to put on a good bowl. Had a chance to chat with a couple other folks that have been to the bowl, and they say it's just a wonderful experience. I'm looking forward to sharing that with our coaches and our team and our fans. So it'll be really good. It's our first time playing in this game, and we know that they create an experience that is uniquely different than some of the other bowls we've been to, which was, I think, will be exciting for our players. We obviously can't wait to get to Charlotte and compete against Virginia Tech. Obviously a program that's had a lot of success and done a lot of really good things. With Babcock, and will bring their team as athletic director. I've known Whit a long time, and their team will come down and obviously be well prepared and a lot of history with their program. So obviously an ACC opponent. That's always good when you can match up against another Power 5, Autonomy 5 school and have a chance to compete. So it's a great opportunity. Bowls have become a little bit of a regular thing under Coach Stoops' era. We're appreciative of being 4 years in a row now, and an exciting time for us to just continue to take a step in our program. And at 7-5 to go have a chance to get our 8th win is exciting. Don't want to take them lightly. I think that sometimes we get a little bit nonchalant about the things that happen, the successes we have in our program, and don't want to do that. Things that this team has accomplished this year took an incredible amount of work from a lot of people. There was a lot of injuries, a lot of things to overcome, and this team did a remarkable job of staying together, working hard together, changing the way they play, the personality of who they were, and found a way to get to a really remarkable spot and winning 5 of our last 7 games to close the regular season. So I don't want to forget about that. I don't also want to forget about the incredible role that our fans played. The weather had an incredible impact on our year. It was an interesting year from a weather perspective. Short of my days in Oregon, I don't ever remember seeing as much rain as I saw in one football season. So to play in that and to overcome some of that time after time after time was pretty remarkable what our young people did. And so really happy that they get to take it one more step. And for our seniors that have an opportunity to go to a bowl game again and walk out in postseason play, and I think that's a remarkable deal. But make no mistake about it, the bowls are important to college football, and it's important to the growth of our program and to us being able to continue to be consistent in building the foundational piece of our program and building an opportunity for us to continue to climb up the mountain of the things we want to do towards championships in the SEC. The other thing I would say is people have become accustomed to the crowds that our fans bring, our fan base brings. So we've been you look at the last 3 bowl games we've been to, we had an opportunity to go to obviously the Gator Bowl. We've had a chance to be in the Music City Bowl. We've had an opportunity to be in the Citrus Bowl. We've been in some really good bowl games, and our fans have absolutely supported us, and we're going to need that kind of support as we go to Charlotte. I know that Virginia Tech will have a strong fan base there. I would anticipate our fan base will support us. It's drivable. We can get there in a good spot from Kentucky. We've got a large fan base, an alumni association base in Atlanta. It's one of the largest we've got in the country. I'm hoping they'll drive up the highway from there, but have an opportunity to get to that spot. Our tickets will go on sale tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock on UT Football Tix. That's TIX.com. So everybody that wants to have an opportunity to get into that, we've obviously had the pre-sale that went on for our fan base, and then a lot of people wait to find out where we're going and what's going on with that, and so now we encourage them to jump in on that so we can get moving along. But again, the game is another step forward toward trying to build a championship caliber program, and you build championships one bowl at a time and one step at a time. And so this is another step for our program, and looking forward to doing just that. So it's a national audience on December 31st at noon, a day that everybody sort of settles in and begins to watch a couple of full days of football, and we're anxious to be a part of that. So anxious to represent the Southeastern Conference, and hopefully add another victory to a very storied history of Bulls and NCC. So let me stop there and take questions that you might have, and then get the guys you want to talk to about the game up here and what they have to say about Virginia Tech and the bowl.
Mitch, obviously, there was a lot of speculation today about the Gator Bowl. At what point today did you realize the Belk Bowl was going to be the option, and was that your all's preference as a?
We want to. I think the two things you can get really misguided in these things if you're not appreciative for wherever you go. Yeah. Right. You can't get into these things and think that unless you're undefeated, you own the day. And sometimes when you're undefeated, you don't get to own the day. So at the end of the day, we'll always be appreciative of where we go. We knew that there was 2 or 3 options available, basically 2 options available to us, depending on how many teams got up in the bowl situation. And we knew that in terms of order of choices and how people pick bowls, that there was about 2 places that we were going to get to go. There's also a non-repeat rule in our league. 2-year, they try and keep people from repeating it within a 2-year period of time going back to those bowls, unless it's absolutely necessary. So we knew that sort of narrowed the field a little bit, and then there's a geographical piece and where will your fans go and those kind of things. And so, I knew that we'd get a phone call mid-afternoon after the rankings came out, and they would say, hey, this is where it sort of landed, and we would probably, there would probably not a lot of room in that, and that's okay. We haven't been to Charlotte before. We're excited about it. I think I'll let these guys speak for it, but new experiences are good. We've been to Music City Bowl several times, and that's a good thing. We obviously couldn't go back there because of the 2-year window, and that's okay. The Gator Bowl was much talked about, and there was that conversation. Then you get into opponents and things like that happen, and then you talk about the Belk Bowl. And this is a bowl that has been good to our league. It has been supportive of the SEC. It's not even really in the SEC footprint, so to speak. It's out of our footprint. And so for them to jump into our footprint and be supportive of our league with the ACC, it's a really good matchup for us against a really good opponent. So I'm excited for our players to experience something new. I'm excited that our fans can get there fairly easily. It's a 6-hour trip from Lexington. And so I think there's a lot of moving pieces to these things, and they're really hard. The SEC staff has a really difficult job of trying to match all this stuff up and make it work together, and I think they do a remarkable job year in and year out. Mark Womack does a tremendous job of trying to do that, and so I thank him for all his efforts and what he does year in and year out for college football. It's a really difficult task. At the end of the day, we're ready to play, ready to go to Charlotte. So hope that answers the question.
Mitch, the alumni members there in Atlanta, things like a 4-hour trip, and how appreciative would you be, or are you, that they had that opportunity? You mentioned that, and how important is it that they make that trip?
Yeah, it's very important. You don't get a chance to watch our football team a lot of times unless you're driving up. When you're in Atlanta, you get the game at Georgia, maybe sometimes a game across the line at Auburn or Alabama. Sometimes, very few times we get to play over there. So having an opportunity to drive just a little bit up, it's in late December. Clearly, end of the year, most folks have that day to sort of gather their relaxation for the New Year's or whatever. So hopefully they'll jump in the car and take a day and drive up that morning and come up and watch us play. We're excited that that would be good for our fan base. We always talk about Catlanta, but that group has traveled remarkably well. We had a bunch come down to Jacksonville. We played a couple years ago. They came to the Citrus Bowl when we played last year, and they've traveled to follow us very, very well. So I'm assuming that group in Atlanta will travel extremely well to come up the highway to watch us.
Have you talked to Coach Stoops since
Yeah.
he got to work? What was his
Yeah,
reaction?
he's good. He's good. He's ready to go. He wants to play. This is an opportunity for us to get more practice time. It's an opportunity for us to play a really good opponent. I know somebody said it's Bud Foster's last game as defensive coordinator. I think someone said that, if I'm not mistaken.
He's retiring.
Yeah, he's retiring at the end of this year, and so Bud's a Somerset, Kentucky guy, and so there'll be some pieces to that which will be a privilege to shake his hand and thank him for his career in college football. He's done a lot for the game. I'll be respectful of that. And then I think there's a lot of connections. I've heard, I was talking to one of our coaches on there, and they say I've got like 100 family members all went to Virginia Tech. So there'll be one of those. That'll be some of that going on, I'm sure. But I think that if you can't get excited about playing against a team that's got the storied history that they've done a great job at Virginia Tech. And to play against a team like that, that's got a really nice tradition in football, and you can't get excited to play on a national stage on New Year's Eve and something's wrong. We're excited to play.
Danny, you had some nice things to say about you when you kind of, I think they hosted the Rifle Championship there at TCU when he was AD. Do you remember anything about it?
Yeah, we won a national championship down there that year. So Danny was the AD at TCU and had a chance to go down there and spend some time and watch our team compete. And Danny's a first-class guy. He puts on a good deal. We were down there, and so he gets college athletics. He helped build that program up at TCU. So where they are today at TCU has a lot to do with Danny Morrison. So he went back to Charlotte. He's done some nice things in Charlotte. And he's taken on the leadership of that bowl, and he's working really hard to put on a good show for these young folks who are going to come over and play. And they get to play in a pro stadium too. Let's keep in mind they're going to play in the Panther Stadium and have an opportunity to showcase themselves on a national stage. And so there's it's an incredibly good opportunity. And like I said, Danny's a really good man.
Mitch, you mentioned the weather. Factoring that in, how do you kind of evaluate the attendance throughout the season this year and ticket sales just as a whole as you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, our ticket sales were fine. The fans, our fans were incredibly dedicated. There were some days I'm not sure I'd have stood out there. They were incredible. I would thank every one of them. They were awesome. I looked out, last couple games, there were some times that it was raining about as hard as I've seen it rain in my career. And they hung right in there and supported college football and our kids. And you could sit there and someone can say, hey, there's a bunch of, let me tell you something, there's a lot of, it rains that hard, there's gonna be a lot of empty seats in a lot of stadiums. And our fans, we had many times 55,000 tickets out for games, and there's 35,000 people standing in there just getting drenched. I'm not sure how many sick days were after that at work, but I promise you, there were some folks that called in sick because there had to be pneumonia somewhere. The doctor bills were incredible this year, and it's just not our staff. So our fans were phenomenal, really good. And we may get to Charlotte, and maybe it needs to rain for us. Maybe we need a little rain. It's part of our family mantra, but we'll talk about that later. But I'm thankful for our fans. They're incredible this year to go do what they. Even the one in Georgia, that wasn't even a home game, and we had people out there in that deluge. So thankful for our fans. They were tremendous.
Mitch, a few weeks ago, Stoops was asked about whether he'd like to play in the rain. What do you think about that?
Hey, if we win, I'm good. Let's go. But it's. I think our guys have gotten used to it a little bit. I don't think they feel it much. We've sort of learned how to play in it, and so I think that we're, what do you say, Calvin? Warm?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Mitch, it seems like the past few years, there's been more of an emphasis on retaining not just the head football coach, but the assistant football coaches also. Is that something that's gradually grown over the years, or has it always been like that since you've been there? What's your philosophy?
I think at Kentucky, when we first came in 2002, I would call Kentucky a transition school, with the exception of men's basketball. People were big into transitioning to another spot. I think what we've tried to keep is Kentucky to be a destination place where people want to come. Lexington's an amazing city. University of Kentucky is a land-grant, big-time institution. It's a place where you can stay a long time and have a really great quality of life. And so what we wanted to do was try and create that dynamic for our staff and our coaches. Realizing people chase dreams, and there's certain folks, assistant coaches, every once in a while they want to go be a head coach, and that's okay. But if you want to be here and you're doing what we think is the job that's necessary to represent Kentucky, then we want you here. And so we're going to do everything we can within our bounds to keep you. Now we can't go crazy and have a lack of responsibility to the overall piece. But we want to make Kentucky a destination place rather than a transition place. And so we've done that. You look at, let me just point to Craig Skinner. Here's a guy's 15 years. He's been 15 straight NCAAs. Now he's in the Sweet 16 again, 3 straight SEC championships. Guys had many chances to leave early on, 8-10 years in, He stayed. Why? Because it's a pretty good place. It's a pretty good place. Got Rachel Lawson, I can go down the list. People have had chances to walk away from this place. Anything about the things that we're doing special, we can give some financial resources to that. We can do some facility things like that. But it speaks volumes about 3 or 4 things: our fan base, the institution, and this wonderful city. I mean, it's a pretty good place to call home, and it's hard to replicate that other places. You know, as you hear coaches, you've heard a lot of these coaches say, in this crazy thing that's going on right now, hey, the grass isn't always greener somewhere else. And all of a sudden, you got something that's pretty good. Sometimes it's pretty good to lock in and enjoy that and work at it. And I think a lot of our coaches have taken that on. We've got 16 head coaches. 10 of them have been here longer than 6 years. 6 of them have been here longer than 10 years. And they've all been relatively successful.
Mitch, you mentioned the adversity they had this year. Obviously, lost a lot of pieces, important pieces off a 10-year team last year. How important was it for the program just to get back to a bowl and not have a drop off after having such a great season last year?
Yeah, I think that, you know, when you walk into it, I loved what Mark said early on about, you know, and they said, oh, this team can only win this, and Mark said he didn't believe that. Now, that was before all the injuries, right? If you remember back in, they said come out of the media days, Mark was upset about the lack of respect he felt like our team was getting. That Josh and Benny and those guys had moved on, and we didn't have anything left to build a program. And that wasn't the case. He didn't believe that, no one in that locker room believed it. Now, then all of a sudden injuries hit, and things start chipping away at that foundation that you got, and you've got to sort of reframe who you are. I thought it was a remarkable effort on both fronts, coaches and our young people, what they did to completely reframe how they think. And you talk about sacrificial. A lot of people gave up what they do for the good of the team to go be better. You know, and we hear that talked about an awful lot, but very seldom you see it played out in real time like our team did. Folks gave up positions, folks gave up reps, folks gave up opportunities that may have been best for them to collectively get to a better spot and go be something really valuable as a team. And then go through some couple tough losses. You know, ones that you sort of wish you had, and you still find your way to 7-5 and get to a bowl game. I think it speaks volumes about senior leadership, which you'll meet a couple of those guys in a minute. It speaks volumes about the coaches and their leadership. But more importantly, it speaks volumes about a group of guys in the locker room just saying, hey, you know what? We're not done. And we're going to get back to a bowl game, and we're going to experience this thing together and keep building the foundation of what we're trying to do. I truly believe, and I wouldn't sit here and tell you otherwise, I truly believe this is a program that can get to Atlanta for the championship game. I believe that. But it can't happen unless you have that kind of leadership from a group of guys that continue to build a base for you to climb from.
Mitch, there's been a lot of talk for the reasons you mentioned, Mark being a conference coach of the year. How disappointed would you be if that wasn't the case?
I'm sorry?
How disappointed would you be if Mark's not named the coach of the year, considering everything he had to go through in the conference?
I don't think, the one thing great about Mark, he has really never concerned himself with that stuff. He's been so, the awards are nice. I mean, I think they're wonderful. And I think he'd be the first one to say, hey, thanks. But at the end of the day, I think he gets his greatest satisfaction developing our guys. And I say that because we use that word really, really loosely sometimes. But you look at what has been developed in our program in terms of players. We got a couple guys up for another couple sets of national awards this year. I think it's Wednesday night, Saturday?
Thursday night.
Thursday night. Thursday night, it's national awards. We could have a couple more national award winners Thursday night. That's, that'd be back-to-back years. We've done some really remarkable things in terms of that. And there's another set of young guys that are positioned to continue to grow the program. So Mark and the coaching staff have done a nice job of developing. Are we perfect? No, not perfect in what we do, but I think we've shown that there's a purpose to what we do and how we do it. And Mark has done a really remarkable job of developing young guys.
Anyone else?